Hey, what's up, Zach here. And recently I've been getting asked to do a top 5 running shoe list quite a bit. And it's hard with running shoes, especially in my line of work, because there are so many different types of running shoes for so many different types of people, foot types, for race situations, training situations. I mean, there's just so many choices. So it's hard to narrow down a top 5. I mean, it's hard to narrow down a top 5 list in court sports, let alone running, where there's, like I said, so much choice. So what I did is this is the beauty of electronic medical records, one of the few, is that I can keyword search by what shoes I actually recommend to my patients the most. So in this video, I'm gonna show you for this last year what shoes I recommended the most, the top 5 that I did to my patients, ones I recommended the most to my patients. And along the way, I'll give context as to why each shoe got in this and as to why I prescribed them so much, because there were big differences between why I was prescribing one versus the other. So that may change in 25, 26, but at least for the end of 2024, beginning of 2025, these were the top 5 shoes in my office that patients came out of there with my little scribble note for. All right, now coming in at number 5 is honestly a shoe that I feel was one of the best all-around shoes that have come out recently in terms of training as well as potential race day shoes, and that is the Nike Zoom Fly 5. Now, the reason that I really kind of gravitated toward these with patients of mine is that to me that these can be a daily trainer, but they're also, at least to me, they're good enough for race day if potentially you're maybe, a little bit hobbled, or maybe you have a little bit of instability, just some snake bites here and there. And they do stay a little bit more stable in the forefoot. That also doesn't make them as quick as some other more race day shoes. Now, these do have a full length carbon fiber plate, which is, sandwiched between ZoomX Scrap. Now, ZoomX Scrap, I actually like a lot. I feel like the compression is really nice, that just the feel underneath of you with the carbon fiber plate plus just a little bit more pillowy ZoomX gives a little bit more forgiveness. Now, these will lock down a low profile orthotic, a bulkier orthotic, they will not. But a lot of times with more high level runners, we are putting more low profile custom orthotics in their shoes, which with the runners not in these will lock down really well. But with the Zoom Fly 5, I feel like you can take this from daily trainer to a race. I just felt like this was kind of a lot of times a compromise between myself and some more of the elite runners that have come through my office, for them to kind of get a little bit of what they want and also me get a little bit of what I want, especially for patients with ball of foot pain. All right, so coming in at number 4 on this list, so the next most common shoe that I have recommended has been the Altra Torin 7. Now, Altra's big selling point to me, their whole lineup of shoes, honestly, is anatomic toe box. Now, the Torin 7 to me combines a lot of the best aspects of an anatomic toe box shoe with maybe a little bit more of a protective shoe. Now, they are still 0 drop, so you do have to be cognizant of that. It's not going to be for somebody with raging Achilles tendonitis or someone that has just been post-Achilles tendon tear, but someone that wants a 0 drop shoe. And mainly in my practice, I'm using Altra shoes for people with forefoot pathology, people that maybe need to fit something into their forefoot into the shoe, or just need to, have a little bit more space in the forefoot for digital issues, hammer toes, fifth digital things, really anything like that, something that just needs a pretty wide open space there in the forefoot. And also the reason why a lot of Altra shoes, this one here is the Lone Peak 5.0, the reason why a lot of Altra shoes feel so plush is because a lot of times they've got an Ortholite insole inside of them. Now, Ortholite makes more premium insoles for more premium shoes, and also thanks to Ortholite for sponsoring this video. Chances are, if you're riding on a more premium, either basketball, running, casual dress shoe, a lot of times your foot is sitting on top of an Ortholite insole. Now, Ortholite does make some aftermarket replacement insoles, but their main business is, making insoles custom to other shoe companies. Now, Ortholite's insoles are open cell polyurethane foam. That is a proprietary open cell polyurethane foam. So unlike other just standard EVA or scrap insoles, these are number one, machine washable, so they won't stink and you actually will feel pretty fresh underfoot. But also with all those machine washes, they're also guaranteed for the lifetime of the shoe. So from mile 1 to 500, it's going to be the same footbed feel consistent throughout the shoe, unlike its midsole, which may start to break in at different spots. You're going to get a completely consistent footbed feel, say that 5 times fast, but a completely consistent feel underfoot for the lifetime of the shoe. So no matter when you're taking this shoe out, you're gonna have you're gonna know what you're in for every time you go in there. Now, also remember, ortholites heat up quite a bit less than a standard scrap EVA insole. That's one of the huge things about their proprietary open cell foam, whereas some open cell foams, that's not going to be the case, but in ortholites, as I've shown on Instagram Reel, I just did a little test in here and shown that these things heat up quite a bit less than the standard. So if you do want the most premium insoles and honestly the most premium shoes, when you go check out your shoes next, pull out the insole and see if you can find the Ortholite logo, because if you can find that logo, chances are the shoe you're holding is one of the more premium ones on the market. All right, but moving on to race day. Now, the reason that this shoe came in at number 3 is because really this is the shoe that I've recommended to most of my patients for a race day shoe, people that have maybe little snake bites, you know, lumps, bumps, bruises, things like that, or just people coming to me for shoe recommendations, and that is the New Balance Super Comp Elite V4. Now, the reason I've liked the Super Comp so much, and if you've watched my video on the Super Comp, probably, you know, get where I'm going with this. This shoe has such a feeling of launch while also not being unforgiving. It's nuts. Plus, the formulation of the fuel cell foam, right? That fuel cell, like that elite fuel cell, that fuel cell elite foam. To me, yeah, it's thermoplastic, but it also behaves a lot like some of other New Balance's foams, which are a little bit more insulating. Now, these will have a hard time locking down anything more than a really razor thin custom orthotic, but like we said, a lot of elite runners do have those, and so it will fit in here. But just on their own, the protection you get, like I said, the full-length sculpted carbon fiber plate, very similar to the Zoom Flies, but the Super Comps definitely have a little bit more boost to them. They definitely are it's got a little bit more get up and go, but you're also not sacrificing a lot for that get up and go like some other shoes. Like I said, the micro motion on these, not nearly as much as some other race day shoes, and you don't have to be as elite your gait doesn't have to be as tuned in on these versus some others to really extract the tools of them. So more runners can get more speed out of these, and runners that have maybe had issues in the past that really don't have any right now are like, hey, which race day shoe can I use that's not going to, really, set me back 5-6 months? Usually that's why this is so popular, at least in my clinic, is because I can recommend them to so many different people as their race day shoe. All right, now coming in at number 2 is a shoe that used to be my number 1 shoe year over year for the last several years, but recently there's been a little bit of a switch flipped. So the number 2 shoe is the New Balance 840. Any of you that have ever seen me in the office probably know how much I recommend the New Balance 840. The 840 is definitely not a race day shoe. It is more of a daily trainer shoe. And honestly, in my opinion, a lot of times it's more of a recovery shoe. As in, I've got plantar fasciitis and I'm just getting over it and I want to get back into training slowly. Usually I'll put you in the 840 or the number 1 shoe. It's a fine running shoe, and I've run on the treadmill with it for years, right? I mean, it's like I said, it's not super clunky of a shoe, but if you're used to something like the Super Comp, like the Zoom Fly 5 and something like the Algae, it's going to be a little bit bulkier of a shoe. That being said, there's zero micro motion in it. It locks down orthotics. It fits all different foot types because of the D, 2E, and 4E widths on it. And with New Balances, their foams are just becoming so insulating that they really do create like a really nice cocoon in your foot for a lot of different snake bites. So anything from heel pain all the way into ball of foot pain, ankle sprainers, anything like that. Putting people in the 840s has been just such an easy decision. The only reason why it's not number 1, I'll get to in a second. And so that being said, the number 1 shoe on this list, it's interesting because it used to be that I wouldn't recommend this shoe as much because I thought it was a little bit more clunky than the 840s. But now, with more recent iterations, more recent versions of the shoe, they've just gotten a lot more ease of use to them. And so honestly, they've kind of by a very small margin, these have been the #1 shoe that I recommended, and that is the Brooks Beast. Now, the reason that I like the Beast is honestly the exact same reasons I like the 840. They're very, very, very similar shoes. There's not much between them. The Beasts recently, at least what patients have told me that have gotten both, or that I've just kind of talked to and seen in the office and been able to compare both shoes, is that the Beasts are just a little bit more user-friendly at this point in terms of people that actually want to run in them, right? Not just recover, but then use them also as a trainer shoe. And so you can use them, I feel like, for longer and for just more things. They're just a little bit more, you just got a little more tools in them for more runners. I still love the 840s in terms of a recovery shoe, like coming back from anything, but the Brooks Beast, to me at this point, has really kind of become that catch-all. I can recommend it to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons, and I can feel very confident in that recommendation. So, like I said, not much between the 840 and the Beast, only a couple of patients difference on those, only a couple of recommendations difference, but enough to, to be a #2 and #1 shoe. Honestly, I'd love to know your top 5. I'd love to know which ones you've found have been the best this year, especially runners that go through a diverse population of shoes. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And I'd love to know kind of how you would like these running shoe videos to go. Do you want to see videos like these top 5 prescription ones, top 5 ones that I just like personally? Do you want to see more of an ultimate shoe guide come out for running? I'd love to know kind of where you want this series to go. And if you do want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the science behind Ortholite and really all that goes in the manufacturing process and the diversity of Ortholite insoles, then make sure you click into this video up above and subscribe down below. Respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.